Welcome to this explainer. We're going to skip the long intro today and just jump right into the thick of it, the fascinating and sometimes exhausting battleground of the human mind. Have you ever considered that your mental distress might not just be an emotional thing? Like, what if it's actually a literal battle with time itself? Today, we're exploring the temporal anchors of anxiety and depression, and we're going to uncover exactly how our minds get completely trapped in the wrong time zones. Okay, let's dive into this. The quote here is, both anxiety and depression are either ends of the present moment. Wow, right? It's such a powerful idea. We so often think of these two states as, totally separate things, maybe purely biochemical or just random emotional hurdles we have to jump over. But the source material gives us a much more structured, almost mechanical lens. It actually frames our mental distress as a spatial, time-based problem. It's like a giant puzzle of time. Section 1, the pendulum of time. This is the overarching concept of the mind, constantly swinging between the past and the future, completely missing the present. Section 2, anchored to the past. Let's explore that first extreme. Imagine your mind as a pendulum that's just swung way out of equilibrium. The source defines depression directly through this temporal lens. It says depression creates hopelessness about the future based entirely on past experiences. And why is that? Well, it's because you're letting conclusions made from events that are already over and done with totally and unfairly dictate your future. You're basically letting judgments about a history you literally cannot change darken your future vision of life. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Your depression is impacting tomorrow, but it's 100% powered by yesterday. The source points out that depression takes root through some really specific feelings: anger over past events, guilt about previous actions, and shame. But think about what holding on to these feelings actually represents. It is, ultimately, a completely futile attempt to control past events. You are mentally trying to change something that has already happened. And actually, scratch that, it's not just futile, it's a literal impossibility. You just can't change the past. Section 3, fearing the future. Now we swing to the opposite extreme, stressed by the unknown. So the crucial point is that anxiety is the stress of worrying about the future and trying to control uncontrollables. It's frantic, and it's totally unpredictable. The source notes that you feel anxious precisely because you lack control over your circumstances, yet you still desperately want power over them. You're mentally projecting yourself into some future scenario, trying to pull the strings of events that haven't even happened yet. You are literally stressing out trying to exert authority over things you just do not have the power to command. This comparison brilliantly illustrates the whole dynamic. On one side, we have depression, trying to control past events, driven by feelings of guilt and shame. And then on the other side, anxiety, trying to control future events, driven by stress and worry. But here's the kicker. Both of these states are fundamentally the exact same error. No way, right? They are both simply us worrying about what is not present and what is not in our control. Section 4, the paralysis of inaction. Let's look at how we get completely trapped in the present. It's this vicious cycle. Inaction and procrastination directly worsen anxiety by creating feelings of helplessness. It's a massive self-feeding loop. To top off your lack of control over various factors in life, you just decide not to do anything about it at all. And guess what? When you take no action, you absolutely worsen the anxiety. The more you delay, the more anxious you feel because you're actively reinforcing to your own brain that you are completely helpless. Let's walk through this downward staircase of procrastination step by step. Step 1, you postpone the real work you actually need to do. We've all been there, right? Step 2, the more you postpone, the more you start doing unimportant stuff just to feel busy, reorganizing your desk for the 5th time. Anyone? And step 3, the more you focus on uncontrollables and wait for a perfect day to start, the more energy you completely waste. You are actively draining your own energy reserves while avoiding the exact tasks that could finally pull you back into the present moment. Section 5, the brain's flawed escape. This is where biology steps in with involuntary actions. Now, what's really interesting about this is the biological plot twist. When you don't know how to handle this repetitive avoidance, your brain essentially takes the wheel. It resorts to involuntary actions to forcefully bring your state of mind back into the present. In a weird way, your brain is actually trying to help you out. It knows you're drowning in a time zone that isn't real, so it desperately tries to yank you back. But unfortunately, it uses a really bad strategy to get you there. How does it do this? Through temporary fun. Playing video games, binge eating, endlessly scrolling through random online content, or gossiping about things that just don't add up to anything. These are chaotic, quick-fix dopamine hits. Your brain uses these highly stimulating involuntary actions to forcefully snap your attention away from the past or the future, anchoring you temporarily in immediate, visceral gratification. It's like a rapid-fire distraction technique. But hey, we have to be completely honest with ourselves here. You're just diverting your brain temporarily, and this is absolutely not a good strategy for long-term peace. Sure, binge eating or hours of scrolling might pause the anxiety or the depression for a brief little window, but these temporary escapes are ultimately empty. They do not resolve the core issue, the fact that you are trying to control uncontrollables. Once that instant pleasure wears off, the pendulum just swings right back to the past or the future. And honestly, it often hits you even harder. So it all builds to this. We've seen how depression chains us to the past, how anxiety catapults us into the future, and how our paralyzed brain tries to forcefully drag us back with cheap temporary distractions. We are literally battling time. So the question I want to leave you with today is this. How will you reclaim your present moment without resorting to empty escapes? If the pendulum of your mind is swinging wildly right now, what intentional actions can you take today to center yourself and finally let go of the time zones you cannot control?